Hey folks, Positive Paul on a Saturday. It is July 20th, 2019. I tell you, try to keep it light, but you my first take on my little guitar ditty I did there. You have the interdimensional entity, interdimensional surveillance drone, interdimensional, who the hell knows what it is. Clearly, goes right across my face. I got a screen capture. I'll probably post that up just for historical purposes once again. The blue underbelly, Nazi reptoid perp plane, snuck right up on me. All right. Remember, the holograms look like the real thing, but the real thing, they can literally, get right over top of you. You don't even hear them. But for some reason now, it's instinctive, I guess, with me that I look up and there they are, and that was my last post. But all I'm trying to do is this simple Bible study. I rarely break out my main Bible I go to, this 170-year-old King James Bible. I had to break it up in two pieces. Every time I touch it, it's falling apart. And what I've been doing over the past couple years is printing out some of my favorite chapters and verses from the Old Testament and New Testament. So when the lights go out and I can no longer use my iPad, which they're working hard on trying to fry it, but at least I'll have something to help out the good folk out there that they're just not going to know what's about to hit them. But what I want to try to do today is go over the difficulty in interpreting prophecy from Scripture, and this goes to the heart of and I'm probably not the only one that said this, but I'm on record for over 3 years now, stating that the reptoids have been going around the globe removing all old books that they can find that has good information, that if someone gets a hold of that information, it might break them free from this mind control that all of us have been under. All right, and clearly, look, at this point, all right, a lot of people understand that something's going on, and whatever it is, it's not good. So, with this being said, I've got quite a few Bibles that I've been trying to collect. I've got this Tanakh right here, an Old Testament Tanakh, which obviously is Jewish, and it deviates a little bit from this King James. And it's not glaring, but there are deviations, and it's for a reason, folks. Now, I have a Jehovah Bible, which is not at this location, that I've been picking apart, and if I get into all that, which who knows, maybe I will someday, it really is just going to bust the floodgates open concerning the Jehovah's, and then right to the heart of the matter, the Catholics, where a lot of this reptoid mischief comes from. All right, there's the spider web is big. It's a tangled web we weave, folks. So I want to try to just explain a little bit about this Bible and how I use it, and if you have a newer King James Bible, there's certainly nothing wrong with it. But I'm going to show you where, the reason why they're printing the way they're printing. Okay, so I'm going to go to Matthew. All right, the book of Matthew, real quick, and just use one example. And we're going to be in chapter 4. So let's find Matthew here, chapter 4, and what we're going to look at is we know Jesus does the 40-day fasting, and it gets into the temptation. So where we're at with that in chapter 4, book of Matthew, we see that in verse 10, all right, Jesus says to Satan, it says Satan, For it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. Now we know, Satan had brought him up to the pinnacle, showing him all the kingdom, saying, look, you worship me, this is all yours. But Satan's a dummy, all right? It's already Jesus's. That's been promised to him a long time ago. So the point I want to get to, though, with one example in chapter 4, is when you come to verse 12, it says, now, when Jesus had heard that John was cast into prison, meaning John the Baptist, he departed into Galilee. Now, when you look at that, first off, you might not think much of it, but here's the question you have to ask. Why is it? Why did he depart into Galilee after he realized John was in prison? Now, my first thought is like, look, he knows that these Pharisees and these Sadducees are on his rear end. They're trying to take him out. And that might have been a warning that he, go into a safe haven, a safe area, if there was one. And maybe that was it in Galilee. But here we go, okay? And leaving Nazareth, he came and dwelt in Capernaum, which is upon the sea coast in the borders of Zabulon and Nephthalim, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, the land of Zebulun and the land of Nephthalim by the way of the sea beyond Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles, the people which sat in darkness saw great light. Now, okay, so the first thing that we want to try to figure out is it's telling us that there was a prophecy concerning this, and Isaiah was the one that had given the prophecy. So where's the difficulty in maybe trying to tie this together? Well, we certainly can go to the book of Isaiah, which, 66 chapters, and that's a lot of reading to go try to tie down what they're telling us in Matthew. Now, here's the point I want to make, that this has been helpful to me, and why I've been able, to kind of start to unravel this thing and put this puzzle together. All right. In my book, I don't know if you can see that on the side here. Okay. There's they write different books and chapters that correlate. All right, with what is being said in that book. Now, the example is, all right, we're trying to figure out what was the prophecy in Isaiah. So what they did back then. Now, this version is the eighth version removed from the original King James. Okay, but what they did, these guys, man, they must have, gosh knows how long they spent, studying the King James. They wrote, right, I know I can't do this, but look, they wrote where to find it in Isaiah to make it easy on all of us, all right? So it says Isaiah 9, chapter 9, verse 1 and 2. So the key thing is Isaiah made a prophecy about Jesus going into this area and shedding his light on the darkness. So let's go real quick and go to Isaiah. Okay, and let's look for chapter 9. All right. Okay, so here we are in chapter 9. So it told us to go look in verses 1 and 2. So nevertheless, the dimness shall not be such as was in her vexation. Well, that's confusing to me. Her vexation. Who's her? Could it be Israel? I believe so. When at the first he lightly afflicted the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali. All right. Now we know those are two of the tribes of Israel. But what were they talking about? So here's one of the things, folks, that it's difficult. You would have needed to read all of Isaiah to understand that previously in chapter 7, they told us Christ was promised as a sign, all right? in Isaiah 7:14, all right, the virgin birth, and he'll be called Emmanuel, all right. But as you move into chapter 8, he's complaining about Israel's idolatry, and specifically, they were focusing in on Zebulun and Naphtali, all right, for some reason. And apparently, they may have been, some of the worst offenders, who knows. But what happened is look, in Matthew, it was saying that, look, Jesus, he went into Galilee, into these areas to shed his light, but it was something Isaiah prophesied. So look, as we go on, the people that walked in darkness have seen great light. So that's the prophecy, and it was done in 741 BC, okay? So the point to all this, to make sure I can get this video up, because it's going to go too long, is that if you can get your hands on an old King James Bible, or one that has those correlating markers on the side of the page, it will help you, all right? Because if not, how else are you going to do this? You're just going to keep reading and reading, which is awesome. That's what we're supposed to do, right? Joshua tells us. Joshua 1:8, meditate on this book day and night to try to figure this out. But this is going to springboard into my whole hybrid thing and the reptilians, all right? I keep harping about these YouTube frauds, all right? Especially the hybrids. Now, if you're a sellout because you couldn't take the torture, you're an MK Ultra victim, a Montauk style programming victim, and the pain became too much, all right? Especially with your teeth, because look, any of these people in my age group would have implants, all right? I've already explained that. I feel sorry for you. I have compassion for you, But look, selling out to get relief and comfort is not going to save you. But what I'm worried about is these Draco hybrids on YouTube, these frauds, okay? And they groom these freaks to be all cute and cuddly, and they look like nice people, and they're preaching, and they're talking about gang stalking and all that, but they're leading you all astray. Now, with that being said, I'm gonna cut this off, folks, and let's try to keep it real.